Now we want to get into some basic functions that we need to know. The square root function. So we'll fill in this values. -3 squared is 9. -2 squared is 4. -1 squared is 1. 0 squared is 0. 1 squared is 1. 2 squared is 4. 3 squared is 9. It ends up being 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, 9 is going to be approximately here. 0, -1, 1, -2, 4, -3, 9 is approximately here. And as you would know, this makes a parabola. The domain is all real numbers, so it's from -infinity to infinity. The range, going bottom up, starts at 0, and that would be a box for 0, and goes to positive infinity. The cube function. Well, -3 cubed is -27. -2 cubed is -8. -1 cubed is -1. 0 cubed is 0. 1 cubed is 1. 2 cubed is 8. 3 cubed is 27. Since this is already numbered, I'm not going to have room for my 27s. -2, -8 will be approximately here. -1, -1, 0, 0, 1, 1, and 2, 8. So this ends up looking closer there, and comes up and looks like this, approximately. That's the cube function. The domain is all real numbers, and the range is all real numbers. In general, a power function. Now, why? We did one of these, but we had A was 2.43, X and B was 0.3326, so it was less than 1. Here we want what happens when it's greater than 1. Well, what happens when greater than 1 is it starts looking like the side of a parabola, and it would look something like this. Here, y equals a, x to the b, for b between 0 and 1, and a is greater than 0, a is positive. This turns out to look more like the one we just did with the problem, and turns out to look like that. Okay, so those are power functions. We're going to do some root functions. So we did the square function. Here we're going to do the square root function. So y equals f of x is the square root of x. So the square root of 0 is 0. The square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 2, the square root of 2 is approximately 4.14. The square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of 9 is 3. So graphing those, we have 0, 0, 1, 1, approximately 2 and 1.4. 3, went to 4, and the square root was 2, and then I went to 9, 8, 9, and the square root is 3. So it looks like this. Now, the domain, it doesn't start to 0 because we know x, to find the square root of something, it has to be 0 or bigger. So the domain here starts at 0 and goes to infinity. And since x has to be positive, the square root of 0 is 0, and the range is also from 0 to infinity. Here's the cube root function. Cube root of -27 is -3. Cube root of negative 8 is negative 2. Cube root of negative 1 is negative 1. Cube root of 0 is 0. Cube root of 1 is 1. Cube root of 8 is 2. And the cube root of 27 is 3. We don't have room for the negative 3. Negative 8, negative 2 will be approximately here. Negative 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, and 8, 2. This turns out look more like that. The domain is all real numbers. Because this is an odd root, it can have negatives. And then the range is also all real numbers. And here are better drawings of those root functions. Here's the square root function. Here's the cube root function. The graphics did better than I did. And then we also want to talk about the reciprocal function. Reciprocal function is 1 over x. Now we know that x cannot the denominator cannot equal 0. So you'll notice we have x equals 0. This is called a vertical asymptote. The line comes close to it but never crosses, and it turns out this also has a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. So x equals 0 and y equals 0 are asymptotes. Reciprocal of negative 2 is negative 1/2. Reciprocal of negative 1 is negative 1. Reciprocal of negative 1/2 is negative 2. The reciprocal of 0 is undefined. Reciprocal of 1/2 is 2. Reciprocal of 1 is 1. 2 is 1/2. So it decreases. Notice it decreases on the intervals. It gets smaller. So this is what the reciprocal function looks like.